Hi everybody, welcome to today's guest, Ludovico Einaudi, who is the famous Italian composer. He's done a piece called Experience, highly recommended to me, and as always I take the fans very seriously. They'd seen a previous reaction I did many months ago now, over a year ago, and said that they loved the reaction and could I react to this? This was their favourite piece. I said I would, but there's no words with his music. It's simply about absorbing the energy and experiencing this composer's worth. He's worth his weight in gold, people say. I think his music is worth his weight in gold. I've been listening to this composer's music ever since. I truly have. But yet I never came across this piece. So it's an experience for me. It's called Experience. It's taken from a podcast experience that I want to talk about before we get into it, because the composer himself has a 30-minute episodes, and it's presented by Game of Thrones actor and an Audi superfan, Joe Dempsie. Joe is joined by some of an Audi celebrated fans, including Russell Crowe, Shay Meadows, Greg James, as well as musicians, scientists, and well-being experts to explore the emotional impact of Einaudí's music. Now, episode 1 is available on all podcast platforms. I'm sure since this research, there's been 2 and 3 as well. It'll be on my thumbnail to remind you all, so just look out at the thumbnail. When Joe Dempsie interviewed Einaudi, groundbreaking composer and pianist, he had long been a fan for many years beforehand. And this podcast series explores what it's like to make Einaudi smoothing, minimalist compositions so perfect for these challenging times. In the 3rd episode, it says of the experience, the Ludovico Einaudi story, Joe Dempsie talks to Einaudi about his musical journey, the key moments in his career, and the inspirations behind his calming music, which is needed now more than ever, people are saying. And Einaudi noted it's a great privilege to be the main character of this amazing and fantastic story, heartfeltly told by such a great group of artists. So I do implore you to search it out and to listen. The special guests, as I've mentioned before, during the series, special guest Russell Crowe talked about his journey with Einaudí's music, from hearing Devenir played at a friend's funeral to working with the composer on his directorial debut, The Water Diviner. Shay Meadows talks about bringing Einaudi on stage for This Is England 90 and how he changed the way he writes and edits after discovering his music. Eric Toledano recounts the story of writing The Intouchables with a constant soundtrack of Einaudi, and how he and his co-director became so obsessed with the music that they couldn't imagine the film without it. Imagine all of this. This is the impact this composer has. Greg James talks about his pride in helping Einaudí's Ngori enter the UK chart via his Radio 1 show, and how so many of his listeners fell in love with the track just as he did. Ludovico Einaudi began his career as a classical composer and later incorporated other styles and genres, including pop, rock, folk and world music. His music has been described as minimalist, ambient and contemporary, but defies easy classification. Einaudí's compositions have become some of the most recognizable in the world, making him one of the most ambiguous contemporary composers of the century. He regularly tops the classical charts globally and is the biggest streamed classical artiste of all time. And it is with that story and great introduction that I give you something I've done. I wanted you to have a true experience of his music. And according to science, most people can't listen to anything for more than 3 or 4 minutes. This is over 6 minutes long, just over. So I've given you a visual. I've combined it with a beautiful visual of just nature and his music. And I hope the two that I've married together will give you an experience of Ludoco Nwadi's music on this level, where you will absolutely love it. I hope you do. Let us savor the experience of this video live from Milano called Experience. Let's share this experience together, everybody. And in these hard times, I'm just going to finish by saying this. We certainly do need more classical music. I think if people need to distress, they ought to turn to music like this. Because the mind over the matter and over the body is such an important balance to strike. We're all suffering mental stress, all of us. I get stressed out making my videos for this channel, for really. So, but then I have my other worries as well, like everybody else. But I want now just to float away, just to experience the music of the greatest composer and streamed composer in the world. Einaudi, the most streamed composer, Italian composer ever in the history. Well, composer as such, on all platforms throughout the world. Absolutely phenomenal, and you can see why. And I hope you liked my video, and we'll just take it in because I want to give them credit where credit's due. And it's a story of Britain's curlews and winter. So the producer was Mary Colwell, the editor was Ben Cherry, the camera work was done by Ben Cherry, John Waters, Sam Oakes, Sam Stafford. The music and narration we didn't use. It was recorded and produced by Ben DeViris, David Gray. And I just want to shout out to all of the others that I didn't mention but were involved in the original, Chris, Jeff, and David, and just say, I used your video to give everybody an experience of the most incredible Italian composer, and I hope I really have. I hope I married the two really well. And there's justification, and that's notification to the people that made the video possible. I'll be doing a little editing, I think, at the end of it, but I really enjoyed that. That's classical music, how it ought to be visualized and enjoyed with nature. The two as one is like two hearts. Half of your heart is nature, half of the heart is about music. Put them together and they beat as one. I really think it's beautifully done. So thank you for listening. I hope you like. Please like, subscribe, and leave your comments. I look forward to listening to you. Today, I tell you, I need more than water. I think that ought to be something stronger.